So, I welcome you all to the last lecture of this course and last lecture of this module also. So, we are in the last module, that is module 12, and this is the fourth lecture of this module, and overall this is lecture number 31 and it is the last lecture of this course. Okay. So, in today's lecture we will be talking about how personality can help us to understand interpersonal relationship, how personality theories or understanding can be used in the context of interpersonal relationships. So, before we talk about today's lecture, let me give you a brief recap of the last lecture, that is lecture number 30. So, in the last lecture we talked about how personality theories or concepts can be used in the context of workplace, in the context of businesses, in the context of career choices and so on. So, in that context we discussed personality can give a lot of insights and understanding about employee performance and success. We discussed various traits which are important in the context of employee performance. We also discussed how personality can also be give us insight in the leadership, success of leadership. What traits makes a good leader and what traits makes a bad leader. We also discussed how personality can also be used to understand occupational fitness, which basically means what kind of personality is suitable for what kind of job. So, there has to be a match between that, and that match helps in terms of it increases the success and satisfaction and so on. So, these are some of the concepts that we discussed in the last lecture. So, in the today's lecture we will be talking about application of personality in the context of interpersonal relationship. So, today we will be talking about more specifically what are the traits that promotes good relationship, what are the traits that prevents or undermines relationship, means the traits which are bad for relationships, and we will be also talking about at the end. So, these are the two main things that will be discussed in this lecture, and at the end we will be talking about kind of summarize the journey of this course, kind of summarize what are the things that we have discussed and how to go about it from there. This is how we will be talking about in today's lecture. So, when we talk about interpersonal relationship, it's a very the relationship is something very important in human life, because we are social animals and we are related to different individuals in our life, and so relationships are significant source of support. They give us security, they give us amusement and pleasure. They also cause stress and complications. So, it is the relationship that is a source of all positive things in our life. A relationship can also become source of lot of problems and stresses of our life. This is something the experience of all of us. So, it depends on what kind of relationship you have with the different individuals. So, depending on the quality of relationship, this relationship can become a source of positivity or it can become a source of negativity. So, the variation in relationship success among individual is closely related to the personality traits and processes. What kind of traits or characteristics we have as an individual determines to a large extent what will be the quality of our relationship also. So, some people naturally have more successful relationship than others because of certain traits or qualities. So, in the upcoming slides we will be talking about some of these traits which are positive in terms of promoting good relationship, and some traits which undermines good relationships. Now, let us see what are the traits that promotes good relationship. So, when we are talking about traits, basically we are talking about personality traits. The research shows the people who score high in big 5 traits of, so big 5 traits are coming again and again, because when we talk about personal characteristics, this is the trait theories are the best in terms of talking about characteristics, and big 5 is the best kind of theory, most having the highest kind of research support. So, that is why big 5 trait theory is coming again and again. So, people try to summarize their result from that perspective. So, people who score high on among the big 5 traits, extroversion and agreeableness, tend to have more and better relationships with others. Some research shows these traits can act as a social deal makers. So, extroversion as a trait, people who kind of talk to people, go out little bit, and there is a tendency to meet people and connect with people. Agreeableness is a trait which we have discussed in detail earlier also. is a trait which are more like people who seek harmony in relationship, avoid conflicts, more agreeable. These two traits research shows are kind of deal makers in terms of relationships. People with these traits have much more better quality relationship. Extroverts are generally socially active, meeting more people and engaging in more activities than introverts. Agreeable individuals are easy to get along with. They not only avoid disputes and are also skilled at preventing and diffusing conflicts when they arise. So, generally they avoid conflicts as much as possible and they do not get into unnecessary conflicts in the relationship. They seek more harmony in the relationship, agreeable people. So, these two qualities are kind of very good combination, or the people with these two qualities generally have a better quality relationships. Study focusing on traits associated with generally the like trait by people. Some of the studies that were done, people generally rated very high on communal traits, means traits which are related to connecting with people, such as being warm and trustful. Warm and trustful are more likely to be liked. Some of the survey shows, these traits, traits of warmth and trustfulness are generally, something that is liked by people in the general surveys. Conversely, those perceived as devious, moody, irritable are less favored in relationship. So, these are like like deal breakers in a sense. People generally do not like or like to be associated with these people. People with lot of moody, irritable and characteristics are less liked. Additional research indicates that broad traits like extroversion, sociability and low shyness predict both the number of friends and the level of agreement or conflict in relationship. So, again this extroversion, sociability, which is both are basically connected to each other, and low shyness also, because people who are extrovert generally low in shyness, people who are introvert may be little bit more shy. So, these traits again other research also indicates predict the number of friends and the number of conflicts or not conflicts, all these are kind of predicted by this. Moreover, traits such as low negative emotions, emotionality means low neuroticism, that is basically low neuroticism, high positive emotionality and good self control. These are also generally predictive of successful relationship. So, people who have more positive emotions, they are generally happy, better mood, or people have more self control in terms of controlling emotions, managing emotions and those kind of thing are found to have better, these traits predict better relationship. So, these are all research findings that shows which traits predict what kind of the quality of relationships. So, these are some of the traits that shows these are very important in terms of better relationship, and the traits that predicts them. Now, in the context of certain traits which undermines relationship, means these are the traits which are very bad or generally people dislike these traits in the relationships. The traits that predict unsuccessful relationships or failure to develop relationships are often generally opposite of what the traits that we discussed. So, generally the traits that promotes positive relationship, traits which are opposite to that will obviously kind of will be detrimental to relationships. For example, the introverts and disagreeable individuals typically experience less success in social and dating context. Now, here it is not that introverts people are bad or something like that, it is generally in the context of relationship, extrovertness many time can is a preferred trait. That does not mean introvert do not have relationships and other things, it is only in comparison. So, introverts and disagreeable individuals, which is opposite to agreeableness, typically experience less success in some context like social and dating context. This also some studies indicate that. Some traits are particularly detrimental, such as deal breakers in particularly romantic relationships. Traits such as untrustworthy and anger issues are significant factors that can almost single-handedly sabotage romantic relationships and so on. In certain specific relationships, qualities like untrustworthy, anger issues could be very detrimental in a relationship. Now, this is generally understandable, as behavior like all this untrustworthiness, anger issues could manifest itself in terms of like cheating, deception, emotional or physical abuse. All this can damage or destroy relationship, often leading to end of relationship and so on. So, this is something very commonsensical also, and research shows that. Now, another trait which is generally can be very detrimental in relationship is something called as a dispositional contempt. Contempt is a trait when it becomes a part of personality, that means generally the person is like this. So, dispositional contempt refers to a personality trait characterized by tendency to habitually look down on, feel disdain towards others. So, these are the people who has a habit or habitual tendency to look down on others, or generally there is a sense of disdain for others. So, they will generally prefer people to put down and feel a sense of like they themselves are superior. So, that is the sense of contempt is a general sense of sometimes people can show contempt for certain individuals because of certain behaviors, but dispositional contempt is something they will generally look down on others. So, that is called dispositional contempt. So, tendency to habitually look down on others and feel disdain towards others. So, some people are like this, so that is called a trait of dispositional contempt. Now, individual high on this trait of dispositional contempt are very prone to seeing others as inferiors. They always look down others, that means they see them as inferiors, incompetent, unworthy, and they often experience a sense of superiority. So, this is coming from the sense of superiority that they look down on others. Some people have this tendency, even though they may not have really achieved anything in terms of great or something like that, but they will have a sense of superiority and they will look down on others. So, this trait can manifest as scorn, disrespect, moral judgment towards other people, and so this could be generally the manifestation of this trait. So, individual who score high on this one of the scale that used to measure this trait, it is called dispositional contempt scale. It uses items like I often feel contempt for others, I often feel like others are wasting my time, tend to exhibit this cold, arrogant and disagreeable behavior while also appearing emotionally fragile and insecure. So, these people can also look very emotionally fragile and insecure, because their sense of superiority is just based on their own ideas or hypothetical imaginary ideas. So, their sense of self esteem itself is very fragile and insecure. Generally, men typically score higher on this trait than women. Some of the research shows there is some kind of gender difference here. Older people score less on this as compared to younger ones. So, younger people generally have high on this trait. As people become older, they generally become more milder. High score on this trait generally experience dissatisfaction in the relationship. People with this trait generally experience dissatisfaction in the relationship, and their partners feel similarly unhappy and less committed, because the moment you obviously this dispositional contempt will manifest itself in all types of conflicts and all types of insecurities. The person will, when some person always feels or look down on others, obviously the others will not feel comfortable in the presence of such individuals. So, such people find it difficult to maintain relationship and so on. So, the trait of dispositional contempt is associated with significant negative impacts on relationship. The presence of such trait in a partner often leads to strained relationship, raising questions about why this relationship persists despite the evident dissatisfaction. So, generally it causes a lot of strain in the relationship. Another trait which also is generally very problematic in the context of relationship is rejection sensitivity, which basically means it is a trait linked to relationship issue, though it is not essentially a deal breaker. People with high rejection sensitivity, individuals with high on rejection sensitivity tend to react intensely to perceived signs of rejection or disinterest from their partners. So, people have very high sensitivity of rejection. if they see little bit of some sign, if they perceive some sign of rejection or some kind of disinterest from the partner or whoever is in the relationship, they become highly sensitive about it and they react very strongly, intensely with the mild, even mildest form of symptoms of rejection or disinterest from their partner. So, that is called rejection sensitivity. People high on this are they kind of react very aggressively or very strongly in any sign that shows some kind of disinterest or perceived sign of rejection with lot of emotional reactions. So, when discussing relationship problems, even minor expression of irritation or disinterest can trigger feelings of being rejected, leading to anxious or panicked responses. They cannot tolerate that, so that sensitivity is too strong. This heightened sensitivity can create a self-fulfilling prophecy. The partner's reaction to the heightened anxiety or panic can often lead to actual rejection. Because of the reaction pattern is so strong that it can kind of start chain of events and which can ultimately actually lead to actual rejection, which might have started without any real cause. So, thus it increases the issue of confirming the individual's fear of rejection. So, because of their fear of rejection, they engage in certain behavior which further enhances the problems, which can ultimately actually lead to real rejection. So, that is the self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing that happens. So, this rejection sensitivity is activated by indications, even ambiguous one, that rejection might be imminent, a little bit ambiguous where there is no reality, some kind of sign which they perceive can lead to all kinds of emotional behavior. Even in the when there is no such sign, during those early positive phases of relationship, individual with high rejection sensitivity may exhibit lot of caring and supportive behaviors. Now, this trait can cause a person appear kind of paradoxical, that sometimes this person is very heartful, lot of kindness, caring, and at the same time very uncaring, abusive and gentle. All kinds of confused combination could be possible for people with high rejection sensitivity. So, when there is no sign, they will show extreme care and love and affection, and when little bit of sign, they can become abusive and they can become highly aggressive and so on. So, all opposite traits can be seen in such people. So, this variability can raise question who is right, who is the real person in this. This person is combination of both this actually. The answer is both aspects are of the same underlying reason, because the person himself has a high sensitivity of rejection, that is leading to all this opposite spectrum of behavior. Although the behavior might seem inconsistent, it is actually connected to the one underlying reason, that is sensitivity to rejection. Another important issue in the relationship context where trait can play a very important role is compatibility. Now, the idea of compatibility is generally key to successful relationship in both, is generally supported also, and sometimes it is also challenged. Now, let us see how this is both the cases. Now, similarity in traits such as agreeableness, emotional stability and mild extroversions can enhance relationship quality. So, if people are similar in traits, let us say both are high agreeableness, both are emotionally stable, both are kind of little bit of extrovert, and so they generally such qualities, when people meet, generally there is a compatibility and it enhances relationship quality and so on. Generally, most of the people generally falls in these average traits. Most of the people, if you see on an average, majority of the human beings falls on these traits on an average, little bit here and there, there may be differences, but generally people fall in lots of generally the average category of all these traits. So, generally individuals are fairly normal in these respects and more likely to get along, even if there are little bit differences here and there. Generally people fall in the average category. So, generally people get along with each other. So, there is some kind of compatibility is there. However, when traits are very statistically unusual traits, when people have some unusual traits like high level of disagreeableness or rejection sensitivity or high level of dispositional contempt. Now, these are like generally not most of the people are high on this. These are some exceptionally unusual traits can lead to relationship problems. Pairing individuals with these such traits can create much more problem than actually solving them. Now, compatibility means similar people you meet, but if people with this unusual trait, if they meet, this is never going to work out, because both have problematic traits, and pairing similar such people will only create or multiply the problem. So, when we say compatibility issue in traits, people with similar traits they do better. This is true for those average normal traits, but when people have unusual traits which are problematic traits, if you meet two people with those traits, it is not going to work out, because the both have problematic traits and it will multiply only the problems. So, this can lead to relationship problems. Pairing individual with such trait may actually increase the issue rather than resolving them. So, compatibility we should understand who is with whom we are pairing with whom. So, not everybody is can be kind of similar people, make better relationship. So, thus while finding someone with a personality similar to one's own can be beneficial in most of these average traits, the key consideration must be whether the person is normal or not, whether the person is within those average traits or not. For most people, this consideration aligns that seeking similarity is crucial factor in, but the person has to be emotionally stable, behaviorally stable, rather than only similar traits. So, just focusing on similarity of trait may not work in all context. The trait has to be with the average and these normal traits. Then only it will work out in terms of compatibility, otherwise it may not work. Those unusual traits you cannot match people with unusual traits even though they may be similar. So, these are few things about how personality traits can actually contribute to relationship or contribute to better relationship, or some traits which can create problem in relationships. So, this is how some personality trait can contribute to understanding how it can contribute to relationships, interpersonal relationships. So, these are some of the things that are related to application of personality in the different contexts. So, this module 12 we focused on understanding of personality traits or personality concepts or theories in the different domains of applications like physical health, mental health, then workplace, and then relationship. So, personality is very clear in all this lecture that personality theory has lots of application in all these domains of life. So, this is what this was all about module 12, and this was the last module, and with this we completed this module 12, and also this course ends here. So, there is no more lecture here. Before I just sign off, let me just kind of give you a brief kind of recap of the journey that we had in this course. So, if you look at just to kind of summarize what we have discussed in this course. So, in this journey of this course included actually 12 modules, each module with specific focus in mind, specific concepts in our mind. So, in the first module we gave introduction to personality psychology. We introduced this, what is the meaning of personality, how it is defined from the discipline of psychology, and how it is different from the layman perspective. We discussed all these basic concepts, we gave overview, and also we discussed what is the research method that is used in the field of personality psychology in order to derive information. So, we discussed all these things in the module 1. In the module 2, we discussed personality assessment, where we said that personality assessment is very important, very significant, and it has a lot of applications. How it is done? We introduced this idea of personality assessment. We also discussed specific methods how it can be done. So, this was the module 2. In the module 3 onwards, we discuss talking about different theories and perspectives in personality psychology. So, personality psychology has a very rich theories, and all theories are in the different domains. So, in the module 3 we started talking about those domains and dimensions of personality theories. So, we started with biopsychological perspective, where we discussed how personality can be understood from the biological perspective, from the how genetics contribute to personality, how body physiology contribute to personality. So, these are some of the things that we discussed in the module 3. In the module 4, we talked about trait perspective, which has lot of application, and we discussed in the module 12 also, where we discussed application of personality. It was mostly from the perspective of trait personality, trait perspective. So, we discussed different trait theories like Cattell's 16 personality factors, big 5 models and many other theories which comes under trait theories. We also discussed the debate, which is very important debate in the field of personality, which is person situation debate. So, that also we discussed. Module 5 was about psychoanalysis, particularly we focus only on Sigmund Freud's theory of psychoanalysis. We did not discuss specifically about neo-Freudians and other people from the tradition of psychoanalysis. So, we discussed the basic concepts, structure of personality, what are the therapeutic implication of psychoanalysis in that module. Module 6 was about behaviorism and learning perspective, how it contributes to personality, and the personality can be explained from the behavioral perspective. So, we discussed classical conditioning, operant conditioning and so on. Module 7 was about humanistic perspective. So, we discussed personality, how it can be understood from the humanistic perspective, where we discussed Abraham Maslow's theory and hierarchy, Abraham Maslow's theory of need hierarchy and Carl Rogers' theory. In the module 8, we discussed cognitive and social cognitive perspective, where we discussed theories like Kelly's personal construct theory. We discussed social cognitive learning theory of Bandura and Mischel. We also discussed some mini cognitive theories like explanatory style and internal external locus of control and so on. Module 9 was about social and cultural perspective on personality, how personality can be understood from the socio-cultural perspective. In that context, we discussed gender and personality and how culture and personality is linked. In the module 10, we discussed personality development and change. We addressed the issue that can personality change as we progress in our life, or to what extent personality traits are stable. So, these are the issues that we discussed in this particular module, and we discussed some theories associated with that. Module 11 was about developing positive personality trait. This is something also very important and interesting in terms of application also, that there are certain personality traits which are very positive, which has lot of positive impact on human life. So, we try to understand some of these traits that we discussed here include character strength. We also discuss resilience as a trait. We discuss empathy and kindness as a trait, and how to develop all these things we have discussed in this module. The last module that we discussed and finished just now is about specific applications of personality psychology. In that context, we discussed how personality theories and concepts can be used to understand physical health, mental health, workplace and interpersonal relationships. So, these are some of the things that we discussed throughout this course. I hope lot of this understanding enhanced our understanding about human nature. So, the main important question is which approach is right. So, we have discussed multiple approaches of personality theories. So, then one question that comes to our mind, then which one is the best approach, which one is the best. Now, if you look at all these theories, you can understand this, all these theories are looking at personality from a particular lens or particular perspectives. So, they are all looking at personality, but from different perspectives or different angles, which are all important and relevant. The goal of personality psychology is, if you look at the personality psychology aims to understand whole person with all the relevant aspects, which is the ultimate goal of personality psychology. Now, this goal is to some extent fulfilled, and still obviously the every discipline is growing. When we combine all these theories together and try to explain personality, then we have lots of diverse knowledge about the personality. However, this goal is impractical if you look at or try to seek only one grand theory that explains everything, every facet of personality, because the scope is too overwhelming, because human beings are too complex, too much of aspects associated with their behavior. So, we cannot it is not possible to propose one grand theory that includes everything, which is impractical and not possible. So, our goal of understanding whole person to some extent is fulfilled if you kind of combine all these theories and try to understand human personality from all this perspective. So this That is why the personality theory actually could never came up with one grand theory, and it is possibly not possible because of the overwhelming scope of it. So, that is why personality psychology adopts focused approaches or different perspectives to understand personality, like trait approach, biological approach, psychoanalytic approach, humanistic approach, and so on, which we discussed in different modules, learning and cognitive approach. So, if you see, all these approach are limited in their focus, they have certain limitations and certain strengths, and they focus on only specific questions and variable. They try to avoid the confusion that would arise if they attempt to address every aspect, because it is not possible, because if they try to address every aspect, they will not be able to do justice with that. So, they only focus on particular aspects and they try to use only specific questions and variables. So, therefore, there is no one grand theory in the context of personality which can address all the dimensions, and it is not required also and not practical also. So, I hope that this theory has enhanced your knowledge about yourself and understanding others. It will help us to understand ourselves and understand others. So, that is the whole goal of personality, and we all human beings are interested in understanding personality of others, and we keep predicting that all the time. So, I hope this knowledge, this particular course will enhance that knowledge and more authentic and scientific knowledge to understand personality. So, it will enhance your self awareness, and I hope lot of these concepts can be applied to your life. So, thank you for being part of this course, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you.